Nagapan Annamalai. He began his course of study at the Muhammad Satak School of Architecture Symposium. He then went on to pursue his higher education at Bharat Institute, where he also conducted his research Zonasa. He went on to conduct workshops at TCE Madurai on tsunami-resistant structures. He is currently heading an architecture and interiors consultancy, Kalpavriksha, since June 2014. He has had 8 years of experience in design, execution, and project management of architectural and interior projects. He has worked on many residential, commercial, hospitality, industrial projects in India and Singapore before setting up his own practice. He has also presented technical papers at various national level symposiums. He is also known to be a national champion at Archimen and Archimen Pro, India's biggest architectural quiz.
Welcome to the UGC lecture series on architecture, building services, unit 3, air conditioning, design issues and horizontal distribution systems, lecture 7. In this lecture, we will look into the horizontal distribution of services for large buildings, after which we will look at the grouped horizontal distribution over central corridors, above ceiling, in floor and raised access floors. Let us look at what are the different elements of our air distribution system. While there is a whole lot of technology and engineering that goes behind cooling air, air conditioning systems are not complete without proper distribution of that cooled air to the spaces that require air conditioning. Hence, air distribution systems are an equally important component of efficient air conditioning. They consist of ducting that routes cooled air across the building to the spaces requiring air conditioning, grills and diffusers that disperse the cooled air in planned manner into the air conditioned room, return air ducts that recycle the cooled air, and fresh air intake dampers that add fresh air as required. Ducting. Ducts are usually galvanized sheet steel, aluminum sheets or stainless steel sheets shaped into rectangular boxes or round tubes. They are used to distribute the cool air from the air handling unit uniformly throughout the building to be air conditioned. They start at the AHU or the packaged air conditioner and travel to the spaces to be conditioned carrying the cool air. There is also a growing trend to use round flexible hose ducting as branch connectors from the main duct to the diffuser outlets. We have looked extensively about the duct design, the specifications, the standards which has to be used, then regarding the aspect ratio which has to be followed while designing a duct, etc. in the previous unit. So, with that knowledge, let us take a look at a typical duct layout. Here we have this air handling unit from which the main duct enters the space, ideally over a common corridor, and then from the main duct the secondary ducts or branch ducts enter the different spaces, conditioning all the spaces in the room or in the building. The next important component in this air distribution system is the diffusers and grills. The conditioned supply air arrives through the ducts and the supply air diffusers and enters the conditioned space. Most diffusers are attached to the false ceiling and a variety of diffusers are available for different air spreading needs. For well distributed cooling, an airflow pattern needs to be created in the conditioned space. The design engineer takes care to separate the supply air diffusers and the return air grills to prevent short circuiting of the air. Return air usually flows into the plenum or the return air box through grills placed in the false ceiling. So, basically diffusers are the ones which supply the conditioned air and the grills are the ones which take away the return air to the AHU. So, here you can see a variety of grills and diffusers. So, the ones you would have commonly seen in many offices and many buildings is the square rectangular diffuser and round diffusers, and these type of grills are a common sight in most of the commercial showrooms and shops. So, generally they will try to give a drop along the periphery of the room and mount this grills vertically on the face of the box, and this rectangular diffusers are fixed onto the false ceiling in such a way that they directly throw the conditioned air to the space. These are the other variations of the diffusers and grills. Now, let us look at the return air. Why is return air gaining so much importance and what is its role? So, since substantial amount of energy goes into cooling the air in the first place, it is a practice to recycle the air. So, whatever air we take from the conditioned space is recycled, it is cooled and sent back to the AHU. The air is therefore brought back to the AHU or the packaged air conditioner using return air ducts. It is common to route the return air through the gap between the false ceiling and the main ceiling, a space referred to as plenum. It is desirable wherever possible to pass the supply air duct through the return air plenum, because this works like a heat exchanger. So, thereby improving the efficiency of the plant. Sometimes a separate system of return air ducts boxing is employed to carry the return air instead of using the plenum, where the supply air ducts do not pass through the plenum. They are usually insulated so that the cool air does not pick up heat from the warmer surroundings. So, if you have a closer look in this statement, you can see the return air, meaning the air from the conditioned space, which is at a substantially lower temperature than the outside air or the fresh air. When it passes through the plenum, where the supply air ducts are also present, it acts as a heat exchanger. When it is not possible, then you have to go in for insulation of the supply air ducts. So, this is a typical arrangement or a picture showing the air cycle. So, here you have the AHU or the air handling unit, this is supply air, the blower fan, then the filters and mixed air. So, the outside air intake is here, which is passed through the filters and goes to the AHU, and from the AHU the conditioned air is supplied through the ducts. Next comes a fresh air intake. A certain volume of fresh outside air is sucked into the building near the AHU. This air is usually drawn in through a damper, which is adjusted to allow the specified volume of air into the building. This keeps the air pressure within the building a little higher than the outside air pressure. This prevents dusty, moist or any undesirable external air from infiltrating into the building. So, why is fresh air important? Freshening the air. One of the most important factors in delivering comfort is the freshness of the conditioned air. If the same air was circulated over and over again, it would become stale and make the occupants very uncomfortable. Ideally, an air conditioning system would induce plenty of fresh air into the air system. However, this outside air brings with it moisture and heat from outside. This causes the heat load on the air conditioning system to go up, thereby requiring a larger and consequently more expensive plant. So, substantial research has been done by ASHRAE to determine the optimum requirement of fresh air for different applications, and the air conditioning engineer designs the plant accordingly. Usually, the fresh air requirements are stipulated as cubic feet per minute, which is CFM per person, or minimum air changes per hour. Let us look at the guide on recommended fresh air requirements. So, the typical fresh air requirements are stipulated here. So, in apartments you need to give a fresh air change of 1 air change per hour. When it comes to stores also it is 1 air change per hour. The highest air change is required at bars, at conference rooms and theatres. In hospitals it is necessary not only to bring in plenty of fresh air, but also to move the existing air more rapidly through the conditioned space to reduce the risk of infection. So, the following table indicates the number of fresh air changes required and the rate at which the entire air in the system is to be circulated. So, inside the hospital, in an operation theatre needs 5 fresh air changes per hour, and the circulation air changes per hour is 25. So, we need 25 times circulation air changes per hour of the same air, of the air which is inside, and you need to give 5 air changes. So, 1 air change is described as completely taking out the whatever air volume which is inside the room and replacing it with a completely fresh air. So, like that you need to do 5 times per hour for operating theatre. Similarly, for delivery room, trauma care, that is the same. When it comes to recovery and ICU room, you need to do 2 times. So, before moving on, let us look at one aspect which has gained a lot of importance with regard to air conditioning and indoor air quality. This is called a sick building syndrome. So, air conditioning systems must do more than provide immediate comfort conditions. They must also be designed to prevent hidden negative effects on the occupants over a period of time. So, indoor air quality is becoming an important concern, and one hears the term sick building syndrome frequently these days. The effects of indoor air quality are usually non-specific symptoms rather than clearly defined illnesses. So, symptoms attributed to indoor air quality problems include headache, nausea, shortness of breath, sinus congestion, cough, and eye, nose and throat irritation. The solution often lies in improvement of the air quality by introducing plenty of fresh air, fresh clean air into the building and reducing the noise of airflow and machinery. So, moving on, the next component in this air distribution system is the filter and filtration and filters. In order to clean the air, it is passed through filters that remove the airborne dust particles and ensure delivery of clean air to the conditioned spaces. So, we have seen how important the quality of air is in the air conditioning system, and filters play an important part in delivering good air quality. The filters keep the cooling coils from clogging, thereby maintaining the efficiency of heat transfer. Without a good air filtration system, the diffusers in the rooms streak and fluorescent lamps gather a film of dust that cuts illumination. So, dust choked filters interfere with the performance of the air system. It is therefore very important to clean or replace the filters periodically. This is a common type of filter which we use in centralized air conditioning systems. It is called a pleated panel type, also known as a synthetic media extended surface type filter. The pleated panel type filter consists of porous fabric like material folded like an accordion to increase the surface area and fit it into a frame. So, with that we come to the end of the different components of an air distribution system. The next item we are going to discuss is the noise and noise control in air conditioning. So, as we know, this air conditioning system involves a lot of machinery, motors, pumps, compressors, condensers, and naturally when these machinery run, they tend to generate a lot of sound or noise. So, how to mitigate its effects and how to insulate or isolate the interior spaces from this sound. So, sound is a result of vibration of air. When sound is unpleasant, it is referred to as noise. In an air conditioning system, sound emanates from the machinery such as fans, fan motors, compressors, pumps, air flow through the ducts and diffusers, pipes and tubes and cooling tower fans. The solutions are: A, to reduce the original source of the sound by using well designed equipment; B, to enclose the source in acoustically insulated space; and C, to absorb the sound using sound absorbing material. So, it is a practice to mount vibration producing machinery on anti vibration mounts such as cork, rubber, springs and cushion feet. Plant rooms are acoustically insulated to prevent the machinery sound from permeating into the air conditioned space. Ducts are fitted with sound attenuators which work somewhat like the mufflers in the exhaust pipe of a car. In addition, acoustic insulation is used on some portions of the duct near the AHU discharge, where it is most prone to making noise. Pipes are insulated from the walls it passes through, so that the vibrations are not passed into the structure. Cooling towers using axial fans are a little more noisy than those using centrifugal fans. In the induced draft cooling tower, the sound is higher at the fan discharge side of the tower. So, it is desirable to arrange the fan discharge side in such a way that the windows do not overlook it. Inside the conditioned space, some noise can make an entry through the diffusers. Carpets and curtains inside the space help to dampen sound. Locating the plant room properly will help reduce the noise levels within the conditioned space. So, here let us look at an example of the best positioning of the plant room. So, in this layout, if you take a closer look, they have shown first is a poor layout or poor arrangement, next comes a fair layout, then better layout, then the best layout on the location of the plant room. So, here the plant room is located at one end of the building without any surrounding buffer zones and without any proper insulation. The next fair layout, this plant room is sandwiched between an elevator and a staircase. So, this is slightly acceptable. Then comes the better layout, where the plant room is located between the staircase and a toilet, and the best layout is it is located by maintenance spaces all around. So, the best layout because the plant room is surrounded by on all four sides by utility areas, therefore, less sound is transmitted to the human occupied areas. Next, we will move on to horizontal air distribution systems. There are 4 types. They are the mixing system, the displacement system, then the raised floor or the underfloor air distribution system, and finally, the task and ambient system. So, in the mixing system, here is a graphic which shows how the cool air and the hot air moves from the duct and into the interior space. So, in mixing ventilating systems, the air is supplied through an outlet diffuser or grill at the ceiling or high in the side wall. The flow from a typical ceiling diffuser has a velocity profile as shown here. So, it picks up velocity, and as it goes hits the floor and then returns, and it goes up and reaches the user. So, mixing works well for cooling and can produce an even temperature throughout the space. So, this is the type of system we normally use in all types of spaces. When we use the same system for heating, it has a different effect. But there are a few disadvantages in the system. The air velocity has to be low enough throughout the occupied area to avoid drafts. So, there is a tendency for inadequate air movement in some areas. Any pollutants in the space can be spread throughout the space. This is because the pollutants are not filtered and they keep recirculating. So, once they go back and come again as a conditioned air, it spreads throughout the space and also to other rooms. Next is a displacement system. Here the displacement ventilation aims to avoid mixing in the occupied zone. So, air a little cooler than the space is introduced at a low velocity through a large area diffusers in the wall close to the floor. So, this is the location where the large area diffusers is placed. The air flows slowly and steadily across the space until it passes a warm object like a person or a piece of furniture or equipment. The warmth causes some of the air to rise up out of the occupied zone, carrying pollutants and heat with it. Above the occupied zone, mixing occurs. So, once the air picks up this warmth to rise up out of the occupied zone, it carries the pollutants and heat with it. Above the occupied zone, like above, this is the occupied zone, above this zone where the shaded area, mixing occurs, and the return outlet at the ceiling level draw some of the mixed air out of the space. So, this is where the mixed air is drawn. The air movement in the space separates into lower displacement zone with a recirculation zone above. In a well designed space, the recirculation zone is just above the occupied zone. So, objective of the system is to have the occupants and the equipment in a flow of clean air with their own heat causing convection around them. This will lift their pollutants up out of the occupied zone. So, usually the pollutants will start mixing only at above the occupied zone. So, naturally the occupants get only clean air. In addition, the convection heat from the surfaces and lights above the occupied zone do not affect the temperature in the occupied zone. So, because this is because the diffuser is placed at a lower level along the wall, this happens. As a result, the air leaving the room can be warmer than it would be acceptable in the occupied zone. Next is the underfloor air distribution systems, or it is also called the raised floor system. Here the air is supplied from a raised floor through numerous small floor grills like this, small floor grills. Air at 58 to 64 degree Fahrenheit is supplied to the cavity and discharges through the floor grills. So, this is the cavity here, it is discharged to the floor grills here. The floor grills are designed to create mixing, so that the velocity is below 50 fpm within 4 feet of the floor. You can think of this as air as turbulent columns. like all this air is turbulent columns spreading out above the 4 foot level to form a vertical displacement flow towards the ceiling. So, this will create a vertical displacement flow towards the ceiling. The return air is taken from the ceiling or high on the wall, like here. The rising column of air takes contaminants with it up and out of the breathing zone. So, because of this draft or this displacement, the rising air picks up all these contaminants with it and it moves above the breathing zone. This sweep away action is considered more effective rather than the mix and dilute. As a result, the ventilation requirements of ASHRAE standard 62.1 can be satisfied with 10% less outside air. So, the advantages of this system are changing the layout of partitions, electrical and communication cables is very easy, because in other layouts the grills and diffusers are all present on the ceiling and they are originally designed based on the office partitions and layouts. So, once you start changing or moving things, they might not be very effective. So, rather in this case, because of the floor mounted grills, we can change the layout of the partitions and other items. For buildings with high churn, like frequent layout changes, with this flexibility may in itself make the added cost of floor economically justified. The flow of air across the concrete structural floor provides passive thermal storage, and then when the main supply duct and the branches to the floor plenums are a part of well integrated architectural design, the air supply pressure drop can be very low, resulting in a fan horsepower savings, and less ventilation outside air can potentially be used. The disadvantages are a significant cost per square foot for the floor system supply, installation and maintenance, tendency to require a greater floor to floor height since space for lights and return air ducts is still required at the ceiling level. Those are the disadvantages. And the final type will be the task ambient conditioning system. Here with TAC or the task ambient conditioning system, each occupant workstation is supplied with cooling air and a degree of control over this airflow direction and temperature. So, here is once again a raised floor system and the grills are located in the partition or in their workstation, the occupant's workstation. So, thereby the occupant himself or herself can control the airflow. In a typical arrangement, 1 or 2 supply air nozzles are mounted above the work surface. So, this is the work surface of 1 or 2 nozzles are present there. The occupant can easily alter the velocity and direction of flow. Temperature may be controlled by mixing room air into the supply air or by a resistance or radiant electric heater controlled by the occupant. One specific advantage of the TAC for occupant is the ability to modify the airspeed. So, with that we come to the end of this lecture. The learning outcomes for this lecture are as follows. We have learnt about the horizontal distribution of services for large buildings. Then we looked at the grouped horizontal distribution over central corridors, above the ceilings, in floor and raised access floor. So, the questions for this lecture are like: briefly explain about ducting layout and design. What is the use of diffusers and grills in air conditioning system? Why is fresh air intake important to indoor air quality? Explain the role of filters in air conditioning systems and explain the types of horizontal distribution systems. Thank you.